Hello, my name's James. I'm a portrait photographer from Portsmouth in the UK. You've probably not heard of me, and I'm about to talk to you about event photography and specifically shooting ringside for Riot Cabaret in London at the Clapham Grand and how we captured the match between Nina Samuels and Cara Noir. We're going to have a look at the ringside footage from a GoPro that was mounted on the top of my camera. But if you haven't seen Riot Cabaret before, this is the sort of thing that you can expect from them. It is, I think, one of the best wrestling shows that you could take a non-wrestling fan to. Mr. Blobby there, you can see high-flying action there, Christmas shenanigans, balloons, balconies, flips, rock and roll type stars, Super Mario Kart, quizzes, Stone Cold Stunners, everything you could imagine there from a single show. I love shooting there. I love the team down there. They're genuinely kind and nice and open and transparent, and it's definitely one of the best wrestling companies that I've worked for, which is why I keep going back, and it's why I enjoy my days out in London so much. Even Bob the Builder there, or Tate Mayfair's as he's otherwise known, and that's why I value them so much, because they value the product and they value the idea of getting non-wrestling fans into wrestling and making it a great night out for everyone. We're going to look today at the match between Cara Noir and Nina Samuels, which was a match that happened on their last show and contained shark cages at ringside, which you'll know in wrestling, if any performer is put in a cage, it's never a normal cage, because a wrestler would be able to escape from a normal cage. No, these are shark cages, so that the occupants, Madame Guillotine and Cassius the Neon Explosion, couldn't escape and couldn't help our protagonists and antagonists in the match. But I'm going to take you to ringside, and we're going to discuss some of the settings, some of the decisions I made as a photographer covering the event, and what I think is most important when you're a ringside photographer, and what is most important for you as the content provider to provide for the promoter and for the brand going forward. So it can be, sometimes when you're first into these sort of things, you can kind of like miss the mark in terms of like what you're expected to provide and what's best for the promotion. Ultimately, what's best for the promotion is a showcase of fun, a showcase of excitement, a showcase, in Riot's case, a showcase of colour and enthusiasm. But really, I like to distill it down to, you want to provide images that makes people who didn't attend the show, you want to make them wish they'd been there and make them want to come to the next show, which is why there are certain photographs and certain images that you can take in a show that are slightly outside the obvious, that mean a lot to the promoters and have a higher value. So we're going to take you to ringside and have a look at some of those now, have a look at how we covered an entire match, Cara Noir versus Nina Samuels. And we're going to start off, here we are, ringside. Cara's made his entrance. This, as I say, is a GoPro on top of my camera. When I go portrait like that, the good thing about this GoPro is it kind of stays steady, which is nice. Cara's really, it's impossible to cover a Cara Noir match and not capture an image like that, that has real impact. Look at that look into the camera as well. He's a cheeky little so-and-so. He knows that I'm going to be there. So that little look into the camera is really nice, where we zoom in with that lens and get that look straight into camera. But more importantly, as the lights come on to showcase the whole arena, we can see here a performer in the middle of a ring on a wide angle lens with all of the feathers and the flamboyance showing out to a full house of people, from the seats and the stools at the floor to the balcony above. And this is the image that I think promoters need from you as a photographer and an event. They want to show that their brand is being watched. They want to show that all eyes are on the performer and everything that's happening in there. And we want to show off as well with the Clapham Grand. It's a really, really old sort of Victorian building with all this lovely old decor around the ceilings and around the balcony. We want to show off this location as a unique theatre where you would want to spend a night watching entertainment, and that's what's so good about this. And the timing on this shot, the way that the shutter went off, we can see previously that it was, you know, there are, you can see here where he's making his entrance, the lights are going off and on and off and on, and it's difficult to control your exposure. And then eventually when he does show out to the fans here, we'll go in close again and see this look into camera. And then when he shows out, the lights go up, and that's when we capture the image. Now when I'm shooting these images, I'm shooting on manual exposure, which is quite rare for sort of sports photography. I'll experiment during the show as to whether I want to, you know, photograph on aperture priority is always a good one, because then you know you're maintaining your focus, and if you widen up your aperture as wide as possible, you're letting as much light into the lens, which for these darkened arenas is good, because it means that you can then use those fast shutter speeds to freeze the action, because we are, you know, photographing a sport here. Cara's coming round towards me here, and I start to turn my camera more to the attention of what's happening in the ring here before the match with Nina and with Cassius, getting these nice little reactions both in landscape and portrait. That's quite an interesting point as well, to capture as much portrait work as possible, because so many of our social media feeds, when they come up in Instagram, for example, I just preferred, naturally as a photographer for this first image here, I preferred the horizontal crop, but I realised that most of the social media apps, with the way that phones are, you need these vertical crops in here. So just to crop it in camera, quickly switch it around to vertical, show off Cassius's legs as well as possible, those heels, which I know that Cassius was very, very proud of wearing. And then the promoters have the option, and I'm close here to Cara as he's taking abuse from the fans. I can't repeat what they're saying, but I just managed to zoom in and get this close, tight shot around his face, pin sharp focus with the shallow depth of field. Then we can move our way around to the cage here, where Madame Guillotine has taken a seat and is looking very, very comfortable. I've not taken, here's an admission, I've not taken a good picture of Madame Guillotine yet. And I've been on, I think, 4 shows now that she's been on, and I'm still not happy that I've got the best shot that I can possibly. And in this instance, it was made doubly difficult because there was a cage between us, which made focusing very, very difficult. I switched, when I was looking into this cage, I switched to pin focus, or point focus in the camera, which means that rather than doing it over a band and getting the average focus between points within the viewfinder, I'm going for a specific pixel within the back of the frame and trying to pick the eye through the cage and then subsequently through the mask as well, which on a shallow depth of field is really, really tough. But we eventually did get, you know, some sort of image through there, and it's something as well that I know that we can revisit, because during the match I know that the cages are always going to be there. So full length one there pretty much in portrait, and then I'm going to go back there during the match, because I know at some point these performers are going to show out in the cage. And it's the old smoking gun thing. If you bring a cage out to a wrestling match, you know that at some point either someone's going to go through it or someone's going to come out of it. There's no way that these performers in the world of professional wrestling are going to stay locked in this cage for the entire match. Back round to the other side to get Cassius, where Madame Guillotine turns away from me and tells me to go away. Cassius, the exact opposite actually, very much showing out and giving me an amazing look on that lower angle again, turning it round to portrait to get that social media angle, and then by the time the match starts I can then return to my corner on ringside here as I just start to feel out the ringside area, feel out the lights and get the exposures right and start capturing some moves as they're happening earlier on in the match. I'm shooting around about ISO 6000. The cameras can handle it these days, particularly with the software technology that we can use if we're shooting in RAW, and I'll shoot in a dual card slot where one of the cards will be RAW and one of the cards will be JPEG so I can get them off easily for quick downloading for speed, and then RAW if I ever want to go back and get anything specially. But with all the technology and with the size of the images that you're roughly looking on social media, we're not blowing any of these up to billboards, so a little bit of grain from a high ISO isn't going to be too much of a problem. Big move here from Nina. We managed to get the timing on there just as the kick hit Cara in the chest, and we get that expression there. And again, whenever I'm looking at pinfalls, there's an early pinfall in there. I'm always ready for the reaction after the pinfall, not the moment of impact, because it's the reaction afterwards when they show out to the audience and to the fans. That's where you're going to get real expression. I'm on the wrong side here for that chop. It's always in a wrestling photographer's arsenal to try and get the chest ripple there as the hand comes across the chest, but trying to get it on that moment of impact. But I failed here just because I was the wrong side, and I don't like to move too much around ringside. I like to maybe spend a couple of minutes in one corner, then change, and a couple of minutes in another corner and change. And here's another move round. I've stayed on Cassius's side here of the cage. And Cassius is very aware of when the lens is pointing at him and gives me that amazing expression there. I'm using that pin focus with that little switch of focus as well. I managed to get it pin sharp there on the eye. Coming down low again as the match sort of moves on. And we keep exchanging moves and working. Cara's working that shoulder of Nina there. I'm on the hard cam side here, but I'm low enough, and it's a small enough show and a small enough arena where I'm not going to be obstructing people on the hard cam side. And by coming down nice and low, I get the referee in shot as well here, showing off to the bell assistant up into the corner. And then you can see here I've gone on a slightly longer focal length to get that expression of Cara, and to switch it round again when Nina comes to me. It's just a quick shot and then out, because I don't want to be part of the action. I want to stay safe. Little bow there from Cara in the background, maintaining foreground and background, so the story's being told in the background. And with every delivery of a trademark, gesture or a move or an expression, we're trying to tell stories and trying to get something a little bit different. But ultimately, these are kind of like filler images for the promoter. Really, this is telling the story of the match, but in terms of what we want to showcase and what are going to be, if you're saying like at the end of the match, obviously to new photographer shooting, it's very easy to go to your first show and just shoot thousands of images. Can you get to the end of a match and select 3 images that will tell the story, like a beginning, a big change in the match, a big something that happened, a bad guy cheating or something like that, and then the out of the match, the celebration of who won and who lost. Just missed timing there on the clothesline, but when we come back round for the kicks, which I think Cara's going to deliver a kick now, and I'm back in this corner getting nice and low. Little switch around here to the cage again, see if Madame Guillotine will actually give me an expression, and she does. She does. It's slightly dark there because I'm still on manual exposure, so I'm exposing for the middle of the ring now, which is slightly brighter. But I think these kicks from Cara I managed to capture. Let's have a look at this one here. Bang! Yeah, got this on like a double exposure there, on a quick exposure there, quick shutter speeds, and it came through with the big leg up there. I'm quite pleased with that last one at the end there, quite good expression again. And an exchange of pinfalls back in the ring, and I'm just sat in this corner knowing that Madame Guillotine's just on my shoulder there, and so if the action ever dies down in the ring, I can always swing round and get a nice shot of her in that cage. Well, Nina's poor shoulder is getting absolutely decimated in this match. So as she's down and as we're holding out, she's interacting with the ring crew. And she signed up for being in a cage. I don't understand why she would be so upset. But there's another one there. Again, another reaction, another expression. A little bit of the story there of the match there happening with the gesturing towards the referee. Obviously, Cara being the bad guy. Lots of talking to the referee, and eventually there knocks the referee down, which was a big moment in the match, and it's one that I've missed. Because I was moving around, but I have got him picking up the key there. He knocked down the referee to get the key to the cage, and as I said before, if you bring out a cage into a wrestling match, it means that someone's going through it or someone's coming out of it, and in this instance Madame Guillotine comes out. I've moved right away from the cage, so I'm not part of the action there, I'm not in the way, and then we're just capturing all of the high flying moves as the match moves into a little bit of a higher speed. And we see the cheating element there from Cara, which is, there we go, sets up for that big roly-poly into the corner. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's officially called. Straight down the middle of the lens there from Madame Guillotine. That was a good shot there, straight into my face. And then all of this cheating, all of this nastiness is just being captured. So we're just capturing all of the disrespect from Cara Noir and all of the onslaught that Nina Samuels is receiving in the ring there. So all of these moments there just showcasing that it's now 2-on-1 and showcasing the relationship as well between Cara and Madame Guillotine there. So we come round to the other side because I know that, one of the components, one of the competitors is out of their cage, it stands to reason that at some point someone is going to be released from the cage on the other side. So just checking the pathway there on the far side of the ring to make sure it's quick and easy for me to get out. But have to capture if anyone's doing anything flippy or turny or somersaulty in the ring off the turnbuckle, and especially when it goes wrong like that and you hit your mate in the chest with your big size 5s, then you need to capture that. She's escaped from the ring here. We get fan interaction here, which is key, so we get the image there of her interacting with the fans, which is showcasing that to the promoter. And then Nina is round on the far side now. She's got the keys and she's gonna get Cassius out of the cage. Look how mean Cassius looks in this instance there. So we've got that with some of the crowd in the background showing potential fans, potential customers, how close you can get to the action in these events. And then I knew how important getting these moves in these heels, in Cassius's own words, was to him. And yeah, showing off the legs and everything there, which is really, really cool. Again, just working with the camera guy on this side. I know that the video camera guy has priority over me, so we stay close to each other so that we know where each other are, and make sure that I'm always on the side of the camera where he's not holding the camera, so that his sort of like peripheral vision can see where I am. If his camera's up here and I'm over here, he can't see me at all. So just make sure that there's always a hand on the shoulder, always aware of where we are, and we can use that space together. No 2 count there, but we're going to try and capture Nina's reaction, Cassius' reaction in here, and Nina's reaction right down the middle of the lens. Always with those pinfalls, it's about what happens after the 2 count isn't hit. Big kick to Cara's face, big kick to Cassius' face, which then knocks Nina off the turnbuckle. And yep, big move to the shoulder, which we've been working all match. 1, 2, oh, and a kick out. How's Cara going to feel about that? Not happy. And again, it's that moment after the kick out, that raw emotion after the kick out, that's really making for a great photograph and is really expressing the story and driving it forward there. They start to use the cage on the outside, and Cassius is fighting with Cara there. I just don't want any part of that. There's not a lot of room ringside. I'd rather try and capture what I can on the long lens in this instance. No one wants to see an accident or be part of it. And then eventually, when it does come back into the ring, I can come round onto this hard cam side, get nice and low, and it's a move that's going to go one or 2 ways here. But with this framing in here, we can see that there's a box in the background of the Clapham Grand, and these moves always look good when they're framed on a wide angle with that box in the background. Again, we're going down for, I thought we were going to go down for a pinfall there, but we're not. We managed to get Madame Guillotine up on the shoulder, big kick, and there we go, framed within the box, the kick on the full extent there, which gives us great shape and form. I nearly got into trouble there in that corner. I nearly went down into the corner there to capture a shot, but I saw that the action was coming away from me, so I came out the way, got the finishing move as it had been applied. But that's a showcase there. I'll just go back to that one actually. That is a showcase there of getting a finishing move, and how finishing moves often aren't the most photogenic. I'm out of position, I'm not in the right way, and then when we do capture it, it's really just a big package. It's just 2 people nice and close together just coming down onto the canvas, and it doesn't make for the most aesthetically pleasing of shots. But what does make for the most aesthetically pleasing of shots is the out, is the down at the end of the match, the ups and downs. And when we come out of the match and we finally got the 3 count, we can see that Cara there, we've got the winner's pose, we've cropped it horizontal, but then I realise he's holding it. We've got the referee in the background with the framing and the lighting. Then I see he does this with his hand, and I'm on a wide angle. And I know that when I turn around this way, we're going to create loads of triangles, loads of shapes, loads of form, and have him over his defeated opponent in the ring. And that is the shot. That one there at the end of the match, that is the one that is going to tell the story. That is the one that we photographed in portrait. That is the one that we're going to send to the promoter when I'm, on the way home or first thing in the morning, to showcase either this one where we can see the face, or the next one here where we're leaning back, that tells the story of the match, tells who won and tells who lost in a really, really simple way. And with all the lighting on in the background and everything going on, you have the simplest of images that has the maximum amount of impact. And that's what you're going to want immediately to showcase online to move the story to the next level for the fans and for the people, you know, watching your social media feeds. A little run round here to try and see how narrow that is between the stage and the ring. But we managed to get a capture here of the defeated allies. See how long we can go on that 24-105. We can still get a nice shot of them both together there and looking around. So when we are photographing a show, there's really, and we're photographing ringside, there's really kind of like, I guess, 3 images I'm looking to get from every match, and they are multiple images. These are just sort of 3 categories. The performers are going to want an awesome image of their entrance. They're going to want something that showcases them coming to the ring and looking like a superstar, either with a Titantron behind them or with fans in the background or with lighting. But they'd spend a lot of money on the gear, a lot of money on the look, a lot of money in the gym to look really good and to get their bodies in the right shape. And some of them have worked years to get to that moment where they can stand on a stage and be part of a big event and be part of a thing that they've dreamed of for years. So the ins are really, really important. I call them the ins. The second one that's really, really important is some establishing shot that showcases, in terms of the match and the performers in the match, where it's happening and what type of event it is and the fan interaction in the event. And there's loads of different ways you can take that. In this instance, we took it right at the beginning of the video with Cara's entrance and the big balconies and everything lit up behind. But that showcases where it's happening and how many people are there and how packed to the rafters it is and how much fun people look like they're having there. We can take that as a wide angle shot from a higher angle up above. We can take that as a bit of fan interaction as well. So any moments of fan interaction that happen between performers and fans, and that often happens in the front row, you can get that on a nice close lens and a nice close up. Fans just holding signs, fans booing, fans cheering. If you just turn your camera around 180 degrees at some point during the match, and some point in that middle match, and we'll notice in that video there were loads of points in the middle match where the match was happening, the workers are working, but we're really like, there's a lot of time there where we can look around and go, okay, where can I capture something? And when big things happen in a match, and big 2 counts are really, really good for this. When big 2 counts happen, you have a choice. You can either wait and try and get the reaction to the 2 count, or you can just flip that camera around real quick and just be ready for the 2 count. You remember the guy's face at WrestleMania when Brock Lesnar beat the streak? It's one of the most famous video clips of all time. And it's famous because they had the vision to realize this is going to be a moment that fans are going to instantly react to, and that clip is still used to this day. It's one of the best fan reaction clips. And then lastly, we need the outs or the downs, and this is where the match has happened. In this instance, we got the image of Cara over Nina posing, but ultimately just some image that showcases winners and losers. And in wrestling, that's quite an easy one to do because it's tradition at the end of the match that the referee will raise the winner's hand. So that instantly tells you, it's an instant sort of visual representation of a winner. And then trying to get something, as we did at the end of this match with Nina and Cassius sort of like resting on each other's shoulders and holding each other up, of losers as well. And that helps the promoter tell the story of the match. So with those images, that's the minimum that you need to get from each match. Images of wrestlers coming into the ring for the wrestlers, images of fans enjoying themselves or being part of a big event for the fans and for the promotion, and then images of the end of the match and the story to progress the story for the promoter to the next level. Everything else is a bonus, and if you can get amazing shots of flips and bumps and reactions and comedy moments and all that kind of stuff, then great. But those moments there, capture those moments, experiment with moments in between those moments, and deliver a series of images that really, really define your unique style and maintain that communication with the promoter moving forward. As ever, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been of some interest and some use. Leave a comment below if you've enjoyed it. Share it with your friends if you've enjoyed it, and have a look through our back catalogue. Have a look through all of the lighting tutorials that we deliver every Monday here on the No Fuss Must YouTube channel. You can also visit nofussmust.com, have a look, see if you can download my posing guide for free. 100 different ways to pose a single model, and you can also download my courses from there. I've got a 1 light workshop, a 2 light workshop, and a 3 light workshop. Really simple courses on how to use 1 light, 2 light, and 3 light in 10 different ways each, 30 different lighting setups. And I wish I had that course when I first started in my portrait photography journey. Thanks very much for joining. Speak to you soon. All the very best.